And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I know some of y'all are turning me off already, okay? Yes, I'm from Oklahoma. Had a son that played with the Senators. But I live in Louisiana, so I love the LSU Tigers. And if you're from Texas, Oklahoma sent y'all Barry Switzer. They won the Super Bowl. I don't know what, So, and I apologize for the length of time from my last podcast. Tried to do them quicker, but I had a little issue. My beautiful, loving wife did something wonderful the other day. She opened the car door for me. The only problem is we were going 60 miles an hour. So I have recovered from that. I'm going to do something today that I probably shouldn't try to do in 5 or 10 minutes. It's something that I do a 3-hour class on, investing in real estate. Now, I'm not a get-rich-quick guy. I'm not going to tell you you can be a millionaire in a year. I'm not going to tell you you can invest with no money. I know all that stuff. I'm going to tell you the simple things. I truly believe 100% that real estate is the safest, simplest, easiest way to accumulate, I hate to say wealth, but to accumulate equity for retirement, for whatever. 90% of all millionaires in the United States did it significantly through real estate. You can Google it. Now, some people say that's not really quite true, but if they say it's not true, then 80% of people did. But real estate is safe, and anybody can do it. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to have a lot of money or whatever. But I'm going to do the one-on-one. I only got like 5-10 minutes. So I'm going to do the one-on-one basic of investing in real estate. And can we just start with your home, the home that you live in, that you bought? Yes, you know that's an investment. You know that's making you money. Now, 1968, the average home price was $20,000. 2000, it was 140, somewhere around 145, 146,000. Let's go with 2010. 2010, the average sales price of a home in the United States was $173,000, okay? Now, today in 25, it's $420,000. Now, that's 15 years, okay? 15 years from 173 to 420. Now, that's by area, okay? Your house may not be worth 420, it may be worth 200. But if it's worth 200, then 15 years ago it was 68,000 or something or another. In Louisiana, I think it's like 230 or 40 in that range. New Orleans skews that, Baton Rouge skews that, but it is what it is. But if we take those 15 years, 2010 to today, that is 7.5% appreciation each year for 15 years. I'm just going with history, okay? If I go back to 68, that appreciation is at least that high. I like to use 5%, and 5% can be a little high. A lot of people like to use 2-3% to be conservative. And certain areas now, because of the market, are probably 2 to 3%. But 5% is very conservative, but historically, 7.5%. Let's just look at that 7.5%. If you bought a house in 2010, 15 years ago, at 7.5%, that means appreciation alone, you made $13,000 a year. Equity, $13,000 a year, over $1,000 a month that you have put into your checking account just by owning that home. Plus, and of course, over 15 years, that's $200,000, okay, 13, 15 years, $200,000 plus, there's always a plus, your principal reduction on that loan. Let's say you borrowed the whole $173,000 15 years ago. Well, today, 15 years later, that your principal balance would be $123,000, $50,000 less. You add that $50,000 to that $200,000, that's $250,000 you've gained. Now, I know you want to get rich in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. I'll give you my opinion on that. I've helped a lot of people, hundreds of people throughout the country. But my thing is conservative, safe, simple, easy things. But $250,000 in 15 years, I mean, that you didn't have to take out your payroll or whatever and do that, that is not bad, is it? What if you own 4 homes? It's easy. 4 homes in 15 years, you've got $1 million. And it keeps growing. So you start with your own personal house and you do it. Now, I've done everything. Okay, I've done subdivisions. I've done God knows how many flips, rents, owner financings. Oh my goodness, I've done everything. I failed at everything, but I've done this a long time. My 20-year radio show, people call me all over the country on stuff, but I'm conservative, okay? So, if you own a house, you've got to start. Now, I say 10, 15 years. I think you need to start 10, 15 years. Now, you can start and have a goal of a year or two of buying low, selling high, flipping high. No, I'm looking at a long-term conservative thing. For the average family, you're making a decent salary, you're paying your bills, you may be putting a few dollars back a little bit, but you're probably not putting back enough to retire. How do you feel about retiring in 10 to 15 years? You got to allow 10, 15 years. If you're 60 years old, older, okay, it's tough. That's tough, okay? We kind of started a little bit late there. But if you're 50 years or younger, at 50 years, and you're stable, but you don't have $1 million, what is rich in the United States? The top 2% of the wealthiest people in the United States have a net worth of about $2.5 million. I think in that range. I'm going to be close. $2.5 million. The top 2%. That means a lot of 50% people, I mean, you're just paying bills and everything. So 50 years old, yeah. What if you had a 50 years old and you started slow and you ended up with $1 million, 15 years, 65 years old, you can retire. You got that million. It continues to grow. You've got your other resources. That's not bad, is it? So you start out, and I know this is simple. I know this is 101. You start out, of course, with your personal home. And I've had people come to me saying, I want to start investing, but, you know, I'm not ready to buy my own home. I don't want to, you know, I like renting. Well, buy a home, even if it's not the perfect home, buy a home as an investment instead of renting, live in it, and get started, okay? But your first step is to buy a rent house. Buy a rental property at any price range, okay? It's not hard, okay? Now, the negatives on buying a rent house, cash. You got to have a little bit of cash to get into that, and there are exceptions for that. You got maintenance. If you don't like the maintenance part and you don't like the phone calls and whatever, then that's a thing. If you're good at maintenance, or you have a family member or a good friend that does maintenance fairly, you can. That's about the only two the two biggest issues, negatives, on buying a rent house. But now you can buy it. You can go through a bank. I bought a lot of houses through the bank on a 15-year term with no money down. Now banks want 20% down, but they will typically use other equity. I would say, hey, take this over here. Take my wife as collateral. She's worth millions of dollars. But you can use other collateral with the bank. Now you want to get a 30-year mortgage, but a 30-year mortgage, typically they're going to want 20% down unless you're living in it. If you're living in it, there are 100% programs. FHA, 3.5% down. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Move in it, live in it. You're signing a thing saying you intend to live in it. But after a year, maybe, if you want to rent it out, go buy another house and move into it, you can do that. But you start out buying one rent house. It's not hard. You buy it, you rent it out. But you buy the rent house, you rent it out, you hopefully have some cash flow, you get some good tenants, do it at a reasonable price, and 80% of the time, you just kind of forget it. You take your payment every month, you pay the bank, and you move along. I tell people, don't buy rentals to live on. If you have to have that to live on, so many things can go wrong. Vacancy, maintenance, you need to allow about 25%. If you're renting something for $1,500 a month, you need to allow about 25% of it, $753, 50, whatever it is, for vacancy and maintenance. But if you can do that and match it off and it doesn't cost you, then you're building that equity every single month, every single year. You do that and you get kind of comfortable with it and say, this isn't hard, These people moved out after a year or so, but we rented it back out. Then you go buy your second one, and you can use the equity in the first one to buy that second one, okay? So 101 basics to accumulate wealth. If you're 30 years old, you're married, you both have jobs, yeah, you got a little extra, great way to start. If you do this, it is very easy to accumulate $1 million in 10 or 15 years. Okay, it's 10 or 15 years. Isn't that great? At 45 years old, and you've got $1 million extra in the bank, and it's continued to increase. Now, let me tell you what I do, okay? We're all different. We all have strengths, and we all have weaknesses. I got a lot of weaknesses. I've got 120 agents at my real estate company. They're all walking by here. I've owned mortgage companies, real estate, title, flooring. I fail at everything you can possibly fail at. Okay, let me tell you what I do. Because I'm such a wonderfully nice, loving, kind person, I hate rentals. I hate rentals. That's me. I'm not telling you that it's bad. It's bad for me. Because if I have to evict somebody, then I want to go over to their house, meet with them, pray with them, cry with them, help them find something. You kind of have to be somebody where you can call the tenant and say, have you bought your Christmas tree yet? And they say no, and you say don't. Okay? So that's hard for me. I can tell you my last experience on a house I own in Shreveport, and it was tell you what I do that I love. Owner financing, lease purchase. 80% of those two terms are really about the same thing. To me, a lease purchase is you lease it, somebody wants to buy it, but they can't do it for 2 years or 3 years and get their credit straightened up. So you say, okay, I'm going to rent it to you for $1,500 a month, but I'm going to put in the lease agreement that you have the option to buy it for $200,000 within 3 years. Okay, but your rent payment doesn't go towards that. And that's kind of a lease purchase. All kinds of options. I do owner financing. I did it when I had to borrow the money at the bank. I do it now. I pay cash for a house. I don't want to mess with a lease. I love owner financing. I put it up for sale. I buy it at a decent price. Do a little bit of work, make sure it's in decent shape. Put it up for sale. Pretty good profit margin there. I don't price it excessively high. I price it at the upper end of the market that it would appraise for. And then I advertise owner financing. Now, there's a whole lot of people out there, ladies and gentlemen, that are good people. They have stable jobs, but medical, cancer, loss of a job, so many issues beyond their control, they cannot buy a house at this time. But they've got the cash flow to do it. So I offer owner financing X down. I won't get into how much, but not a lot, but X thousands, some, to make sure that they're invested in it. I do not transfer the deed, the title. I don't transfer it over. And I tell them, you have an ownership interest in this property. I don't transfer the title. I tell them, I'm going to sell you this house for X dollars. Let's just throw $150. I know a lot of y'all think that you can't buy something $150. All right, let's say $150,000. I charge you X% interest. I don't get excessive over there. The ones I got out right now, probably 6%, 6.5%. But X% interest, a general market rate, maybe a little bit higher, not much. And there's 4 components of figuring a payment. 99% of you, when you use these 4 components, you're using it to figure what the principal and interest payment is. You say, okay, I'm going to borrow $150,000 at 6% for 30 years, those 3 components. Then you push the 4th button, and it tells you what your payments are. When I do this, I want to sell a home to somebody that is comfortable. They're not getting stressed out. They're not battling every month. I ask them, what is the most monthly payment you're comfortable making? And they say, well, we're paying $1,000 a month right now. We can go a couple $100 more, or $1,500 or so. So what I do is I use the 3 components of, I plug in $1,500 a month payment. I plug in the interest rate. I plug in the loan amount. And then I push the button for the term. And it tells me, okay, at this, it will be X years. Now, I don't go 30 years, and I balloon it. Okay, I balloon it maybe 5 years or so. But I tell them, okay, X down, here's your payments, here's your rate. You can pay it off anytime you want. Go to the bank, pay the balance off, no penalty or anything. If I'm going to give you 10 days to back out, to make sure you're comfortable with the house, the condition, everything. You're going to back out, you lose your down payment. But after 10 days, you are totally responsible 100% for everything. Now, if something happens, you have to move and whatever, if we can sell it, pay me off. If not, then leave it in a comparable condition, and I'll let you move out, and I redo it. I love that. I've got houses out there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know where they're at. I don't even know what streets, the addresses. Now, I am blessed to have a wonderful, loving, you'll like this, Ashley, a bookkeeper, assistant, CFO in my company that handles the payments for me, and she makes sure the insurance, I add the taxes and insurance onto it, to the payments. But she collects the payments. I don't do anything. The people, they don't call me for repairs or anything. I've had a few little things, whatever. And I say, okay, so what you're saying is you want me to come out and fix something. What you're saying is you want to move out and you want to give the house up. Oh, no, I don't. We've got this. Okay. So that's what I like doing, okay? 101, get started, okay? Think about it. It's not hard. You don't have to be smart. Just don't live. Don't do it where you have to live on that cash flow. If you're doing it and you're making $400 cash flow a month, don't take that cash flow. If anything, take it and put it on the debt, okay? God bless you. Y'all take care. A little extra today. I'm most famous, of all the things I've done in life, I'm most famous for my sonic moments. Here's one.